After 13 innings last night and earlier today, the Phils and the Pirates will be back at it for game number 2 here at PNC Park. For the Pirate fans, the walk over the Clemente Bridge, it's actually kind of refreshing. For the Phillies fans, well, that walk hopefully will dictate a little offense today, although they've got a tough customer to deal with, the right-hander Gerrit Cole here at PNC Park. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, joined by Ben Davis. All right, we'll talk about Gerrit Cole in just a little bit, but let's first talk about the Phillies and the road. The road has not been all that kind for the Phillies in 2015.
They might be getting bad room service. They might not be getting all the sleep they need, but either way, it's got to end, and it's, in my mind, the biggest problem has been the offense. We know the offense is going to be a struggle going into this year, but the offense on the road this year has just not worked. And you take a look at their average, under 3 runs per game. That's just not going to cut it. Puts a lot of burden on the bullpen and the starting pitching staff. And you look at this recent road trip, they're doing it in smaller ballparks, and they're still not scoring runs.
Yeah, the Phillies have not hit a home run on this road trip yet, thinking Cincinnati, where they had 3. A lot of balls fly out of there. And, of course, last night's game here in Pittsburgh. Well, they don't expect to hit a whole lot of home runs today against right-hander Gerrit Cole. He's only allowed 7 home runs since August of last year. This young man could be the best pitcher in the National League.
No, I don't think he could be. He is, Tom. He is the best pitcher in the National League. He's got 3 pitches, and he can strike you out with all of them. His slider's come a long way. His fastball is always on the corners, and he works down with that, mixes in some change-ups. When he does climb the ladder, it is by design to change your eye level. He is good as it gets. They have their work cut out for him today, but they have to make sure that he does elevate the baseball.
Well, by the sense of the clubhouse today, they're probably going to be aggressive against him, and why not? I mean, look at these numbers since he came off the disabled list last year in August. He's 13-3 with an ERA of 2.42. He and Bartolo Colon with 9 victories leading the National League. So will be Gerrit Cole on the mound for the Pirates today. Game 2 of a 3-game series. He'll be opposed by right-hander Sean O'Sullivan. So get on in here. Bring the boats. Bring your friends. PNC Park's going to be hopping here this afternoon on a hot Saturday. Last night, defense certainly helped the Pirates. When you got done with that ball game, you thought, man, they made some really good plays. This could be the best one right there. Harrison gets Francoeur. Francoeur said, I have no idea how he was able to throw me out. Lineups at first pitch when we return. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Citizens Bank. One deposit checking. Keeping things simple is helping you bank better. By Toyota. Where will Toyota take you? Visit buyatoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. By Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. And by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Learn more at IVX.com. For baseball, as the umpires have already exchanged the lineup cards at home plate, and we're just about ready to get things rolling. Gerrit Cole is about to head out to the mound. Here he comes, as his teammates will join him out on the field. A little bit more of a spring in the step for the Pirates players, because they won last night 1-0, and they have their ace out on the mound here this afternoon. The Phillies were actually pretty good today. Obviously, a lot of discussion surrounded Ken Giles and what he went through last night, and the argument that he had with Ryan Sandberg and Bob McClure. in the dugout. Kenny explained it this morning, so we'll talk about that a little later on. Let's take a look at the Phillies lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. It'll be Revere, Herrera, and Utley, followed by Ryan Howard, Maikel Franco, and Cody Ashe. In the bottom third of Freddie Galvis, Carlos Ruiz, and Sean O'Sullivan. And they will face 24-year-old right-hander Garrett Cole. He's 9-2. That ties him with Bartolo Colon and Felix Hernandez for the most wins in Major League Baseball. But a 1.73 ERA. He's averaging more than a strikeout per inning pitched. I mean, he is a power pitcher, Ben, and I don't want to say he's under the radar because he's a former #1 pick, but he has really come on this season.
I think he is kind of under the radar because he does play here in Pittsburgh. They don't get a whole lot of press, but he's just good. You're right. He is a power pitcher. If you take a look at his scouting report, he will touch 97. His changeup, curve, slider. His slider has come a long way, as I mentioned in the open, a 2.6 career ERA against the Phillies. So they do have their work cut out for him. I think you will see a lot of early swings today by the Phillies.
Well, Ryan Sandberg told Murph that before the ball game, that he thinks it'll be an aggressive approach. The Phillies have faced him before. Let's take a look at our Nissan keys to today's ball game.
The keys is, despite being a power pitcher, he can stay in ball games and get that pitch count up, but the Phillies have to do that today, knowing the bullpens were depleted last night. So get Cole's pitch count up. I know they want to swing early, but they have to make sure it's the one they want. And win a roadie. Talked about the road games and the lack of success that the Phillies have had, so they need to get off the schneid and win a road game here.
Well, they are winless on this road trip so far. First 4 games have gone to the opposition, 3 to Cincinnati, and 1, obviously, yesterday to the Pirates. Here's Ben Revere to lead things off. Revere was 1 for 6 in last night's ball game. He has really good numbers in just 9 at-bats against Garrett Cole. So here we go, Saturday afternoon baseball at PNC Park. Phillies and the Pirates. And the first pitch of the afternoon from Cole is taken upstairs. We're underway, 1 ball and no strikes. Last night we had an hour and 20-minute rain delay, 25-minute rain delay at the outset. There are storms in the area. In fact, it was very cloudy today, and early this morning it was raining pretty hard. But hopefully we'll get this game in without a problem. 1 ball, 1 strike, and that's looped out to center field. And Ben Revere is now 6 for 10 against Garrett Cole.
There goes a no-no.
Phillies actually have a couple guys that have decent numbers against him. Here's Odubel Herrera, who is 0 for 3 against him. The crew chief, Jeff Nelson, is behind the plate today. Corey Blazer's at first. Laz Diaz is at second base. And Chris Guccione, who had the plate in last night's game, is over at third base. He was a little erratic last night behind the plate. Odubel hitting .254. He had a pinch hit appearance in yesterday's game. The Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Silvino McCazib from Norristown, Pennsylvania. Phillies hit a home run in today's ball game, and Silvino will win $500.
Good luck, Silvino.
No balls and 1 strike to Herrera. John DeSangro, our associate producer, sent me an email this morning and said, just a heads up, here is the McDonald's home run jackpot last name. And I'll be honest with you, he checked it out on the internet to see if there was a pronunciation. It was a tough one. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly.
I thought you handled it well.
Yeah.
That Sang's always on the ball, isn't he?
No balls, 1 strike to Herrera. And now time is called. Garrett Cole did make him wait a long time. Garrett Cole was very deliberate during his warm-up tosses here today. It took him a while to get out on the field. It took him a while to finish up his warm-up tosses. Sometimes pitchers, and we saw this with Roy Halladay during hot days like this, sometimes they do get overheated. No balls and 2 strikes. Herrera's had a couple of good swings, but both foul balls back behind home plate.
Saw the Pirates pitching staff to a man last evening, really concentrate on pounding the Phillies hitters in. Even in the 0-0 ball game and into extra innings, they continued to pound the inner part of the strike zone.
Dribbler foul up the first base line off the front of the Phillies dugout. Juan Samuel will pick it up. Garrett Cole in his last 18 starts here at PNC. He's 11-2 with a 2.83 earned run average. Over his last 4 overall starts, how about this? 2 earned runs in 29 2/3 innings. An earned run average of 0.61. There goes Revere. The pitch is way inside. The throw to second not in time. It goes into center field, and Revere just keeps on going. That'll be the 3rd error of the season for Stewart. Stolen base number 13 for Ben Revere.
And that's a trap a lot of catchers fall into. I did it myself. You see a guy has a big jump, you get an off-speed pitch, and you come out and you rush the throw. You see here, he just really tries to get rid of it quickly. I always felt I could make it up in the air. I was blessed with a stronger arm. I tried to get behind the ball a little bit more. When I rushed, I would sink it or cut the ball. Exactly what Chris Stewart did there.
I would think it's frustrating for a catcher, too, because after it's over, you're thinking, oh, man, I did it again.
Yep.
All right, so the Phils have a runner at third with nobody out. Let's see if they can take the lead. They have not scored, obviously, in this series in the 13 innings last night, which is remarkable. And Odubel is struck out, so 1 away. Runners at third, less than 2 outs. It's a huge stat in baseball. Teams that are successful at getting the runner home are usually successful teams.
Well, we said he's down, except when he wants to, and that's what he did to Odubel right there. Climbed the ladder with 97.
Chase Utley pinch hit in last night's ball game, grounded out to second base. The infield is in with a runner at third. And a fly ball out towards center field. Coming on is McCutchen. He makes the catch. Revere's coming home. McCutchen double clutch. The throw to the plate not in time. And the Phillies take the lead. It's a 1-0 ball game. Sacrifice fly. Utley picks up his 25th RBI of the year. And a lot of his RBIs, at least a third of his RBIs, have come on sacrifice flies.
And that's very unlike you see Chase ambushing first pitch, first at bat. Usually if he does swing at that first pitch, he'll wait to maybe his 3rd or 4th at bat. Chase doing it here in his first AB today.
So a run is in, and here's Ryan Howard. Talked about all the base runners the Phillies left last night. They left 13 runners on base, which is a far cry from what the Pirates left. The Pirates left 17. But the Phillies were 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Kevin Correa, who pitched well for 5 2/3, he thought, well, maybe get a couple of runs in the first few innings. The Phillies had 6 hits in the first 3 innings. On the inside corner, 1-1 to Ryan Howard. Side and 2 balls and 2 strikes. Garrett Cole out of UCLA, where he was the #1 overall pick by the Pittsburgh Pirates in 2011. Ball went past Chris Mudd over the head of a very tall Sean Ficasny, who protected A much more diminutive Scott Sheridan. And then in and out of the hands of Freddie Galvis. Swing and a miss. Howard way out front, and the side is retired. 2 strikeouts of the inning for Cole, but the Phillies strike first. Chase Utley's sacrifice fly has given Sean O'Sullivan a lead as he goes to work in the bottom of the first. Victory over the Phillies. Let's take a look at his lineup for today, brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Leading it off in right field, Gregory Polanco. Starling Marte, the left fielder, bats second. Andrew McCutchen hits third, followed by Neil Walker and Josh Harrison. Pedro Alvarez is at first base. He'll bat sixth. And the bottom third of Gong, Stewart, and Cole. And they will face Phillies right-hander Sean O'Sullivan. 1-4 on the year, an ERA of just under 5. O'Sullivan has faced the Pirates on several other occasions. And you take a look at his overall numbers. He allows some base runners. He's been better, though, these last few outings. He's allowed 9 home runs so far this year.
I think his changeup has gotten a little bit better, and as we take a look at his scouting report, he will touch 90 from time to time. Changeup, curve, and slider. But his road record, that's what is concerning for the Phillies today. He's got to keep the ball down in this ballpark.
Here's Gregory Polanco, 0 for 7 last night, 1 for his last 19, and he takes strike 1. Made a wonderful catch in last night's ball game, and a ball hit by Cody Ashe. Inside, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Yeah, 0 for 7. That is a tough night. It's a tough night at the yard.
Well, there was a lot of that last night. I mean, from the Pirates alone, he was 0 for 7. McCutchen was 0 for 6. The best night was for Harrison and Marte. They were combined 7 for 13. There's Marte, who had the game-winning hit. Shot right side into right field, a base hit. So that's how you quiet an 0 for 7. Get a base hit, your first at bat, and a runner aboard. Well, here is Starling Marte earlier this morning against Dustin McGowan. Got it between Galvis and Hernandez, and that enabled Chris Stewart, who reached on a pinch hit, to score.
Right into no man's land.
Marte, 12 home runs, 42 runs batted in. The 12 home runs, second among left fielders. The 42 RBIs is the most RBIs for left fielder. Down the right field line, that's pretty well hit. Slicing, it is foul. There was sort of a growing sound from the fans.
It was.
Seemingly leading everybody to believe that that ball may go out toward the wall in fair territory.
And we talk about Polanco's 0 for 7. That really is what's the best thing about baseball. You know you're going to get back after it the next day. know, if you're a quarterback, you throw for 180 yards with 3 picks. You got 6 days off.
You got to listen to every meeting, watch every film session.
Oh.
What do you care? You would never have thrown 3 picks.
Never, Tom. Never.
1 ball, 1 strike to Marte. Runner goes. Pitch is swung on a miss. Throw to second by Ruiz. Not in time. Galvis backs up the throw. Stolen base number 17 for Polanco. It was an excellent jump by Polanco. Carlos didn't have a whole lot on the throw.
Now he looked runners from the first pitch to Marte. He gets those big long legs going, and once he gets going, he can move.
The Pirates scouted him. The scouting director who went down to see him said, you know, he looks like a baby giraffe. Well, not anymore. He looks like a full-grown giraffe. He's in scoring position. It's 1-2 to Marte, and Marte hits it towards short. Galvis has got it. He's going to third. The throw hits the runner, and everybody is safe. He had him with a good throw. He just didn't have the angle. The angle closed up on him.
I give Polanco credit for going this ball. You say, you know, if it's hit to your right, you're not going. Hit to your left, you can go. But this ball is hit to his left, but it was hit pretty sharply. But you're right, the angle just evaporated on Freddie.
That's why you don't see that throw made a lot of times, because unless Franco's off the bag, there's really no way to get it to him. And if he's off the bag, he may not be able to tag him.
The only thing Freddie did, what in my mind is wrong, is he threw it flat-footed.
I agree.
Now, he did have to rush because of Polanco's speed. But I think if he would have set his feet, he would have been able to get more on the throw and make it more accurately.
There's McCutchen toward third. Franco comes in, coming home to the plate. The throw is not in time. Oh, no, he dropped it. The throw was in time. He just dropped it. Everybody's safe. We're tied up at 1. Fielder's choice at an RBI for McCutchen, his 38th of the season. Well, again, it was the right play by Franco.
Very good throw. Very good play by Franco.
Carlos just didn't hang on. He had him too.
Yes, he did. You try and make that sweep tag.
Well, and that's what a catcher is told he has to do, is make that sweep tag. Now, he could have blocked the plate, but he gave Franco a better angle. He just didn't hold on to the ball.
Right.
Well, here's Neil Walker. All right, well, this inning is not going particularly well for the Phillies. Now, if you were Galvis on the previous play, Ben, would you have gone to first and not gone to third?
I thought he made the right play. He just threw it errantly.
By the way, they did charge him with an error on that. Franco, they did not charge, or Ruiz, they did not charge an error on that. It's just a fielder's choice and an RBI. I was shocked when Jeff Nelson said safe. I didn't see the ball squirt out until the bodies moved and the angle opened up. 1 ball, 1 strike to Walker with runners on first and second, and Walker hits it foul down the left field line. Walker's numbers with runners in scoring position. There should be 2. There's 1 and 2. 4-6-3 double play. So 2 away. Runner over at third base. That's a pretty good pick me up right there.
Well, if Sean can get out of this with 1 run, with the poor defensive work that the Phillies have had, that's really stepping up. That's picking up your teammates. They're obviously not trying to make those errors. They erred on the side of aggression. We talked about that last night. That's fine. But if Sean can pick them up right here, that'd be huge.
Josh Harrison, a .266 hitter with 4 homers and 18 runs batted in. He had 4 hits in last night's game. First pitch is a bit low, 1 ball, no strikes. Out to left field. Here comes Ashley, and he plays it on a hop. A run will score, and it's now 2-1. Pirates on top. RBI single for Josh Harrison. 19 RBIs on the year. I really thought that ball was going to hang up there long enough for Cody to make the play. Now he erred on the side of conservatism there. He did that in Cincinnati. I don't know if he could have made the catch or not if he came running in, charging in hard.
Seems to be playing awfully deep out in left
deep.
field. Harrison does have some pop, but
here's Pedro Alvarez. Alvarez 0 for 2 with a couple of walks in yesterday's game. 2-1, Pirates on top. Alvarez with 10 home runs this year in his first full season as a first baseman. He pops it up back of Franco, and he'll give way to Freddie Galvis, who makes the catch. Side is retired, but the Pirates score 2 runs. They leave 1. We've completed 1 inning. It's 2-1. Pittsburgh on top of the Phils. Louis Cardinals. Friday, June 19th, turn back the clock to the late 60s. Phillies and the Cardinals will wear retro 1960s era uniforms. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. 2-1, Pirates on top as we move to the second inning. Maikel Franco will lead things off. By the way, no error on, we're being told now, on Galvis. Just a straight fielder's choice. So no error on Galvis, no error on the play at the plate. So it's 2 earned runs, but just a lot of sloppiness in the bottom of the first inning that's not going to show up on the box score. And there's an 11-game hitting streak now for Maikel Franco as he slices that one the opposite way. A leadoff single here in the second.
I'm just looking at it, and I don't want the Phillies to get errors, obviously.
Yeah.
But if Galvis throws that ball to first base, that's an out. If Chooch holds on to that ball at home plate, that's an out. I don't understand how that goes as a fielder's choice. That's just me, but you know, you get a double play mixed in there. That's 4 outs right there.
Well, here's Cody Asche, 235, 2 home runs, 6 runs batted in. He was 1 for 5 with a double in last night's game. And he takes strike one. It's 0-1. Outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Ashe 2 for 4 against Garrett Cole. Runner goes, pitches lined out toward right field. Polanco started in, now he goes back and he makes the catch. He bobbled it for a moment, and there's 1 away. Cody Ashe hit that ball right on the nose. Polanco is fortunate that he was athletic enough to be able to recover on that.
I just thought that ball was going to get over his head.
I did too.
It's like, go ball. Looked like more gazelle than giraffe there, Tom.
I didn't describe him that way. The scouting department for the Pirates described him that way. Here's Galvis. And Galvis 0 for 1 last night as a pitch hitter. Wide 2-0. Garrett Cole was drafted twice. He was drafted by the Yankees, the 28th player chosen in 2008 in the first round. But he decided not to sign with New York, even though he grew up a Yankee fan, was offered first round money. He decided he wanted to play at UCLA. So he rolled the dice, and it worked out fine because went on to win 21 games at UCLA. Was a dominant strikeout pitcher, 376 during that time. Had to play 2 balls and 2 strikes, and of course he gets drafted with the first pick by the Pittsburgh Pirates. So everything worked out fine for him.
You're really playing with fire there because, you know, Tom, you go to a big program like UCLA, they will wear you out as a pitcher. Pitch counts are out the window. And they can burn you out, but it worked out in his favor.
Franco goes sprawling back. Franco was hitting the back foot in last night's game. He's moving around way better today than he was at the end of last night's ball game. A little treatment. Wasn't sure if he would be in the lineup today. Galvis lines it into right field. That'll be a base hit. And Franco stops at second. Good job by Freddie Galvis. He went out and got that one. All right, so 3 hits already for the Phillies, Murph, against Garrett Cole. Now, it's not that he's not keeping the ball down, but they are being very aggressive against him.
Which is what Ryan Sandberg told us the game plan would be against a guy like Garrett Cole. You know, Garrett Cole is a pretty good pitcher. Last year he won 11 games for the Pirates, but this year, as you guys talked about right at the beginning of the program, you know, when you talk about some of the best pitchers in the National League, he has to be in the conversation. And part of the reason is because he is keeping that ball down, especially when using his slider. Take a look at the comparisons from last year to this year. 63% down in the zone to 79%. When you're getting the slider down in the zone, you're obviously going to get a lot of swings and misses. You're also going to get a lot of ground balls. He's doing a much better job against all batters this year. Guys batting just 172 against that slider this year, so it's been the pitch that is working for him. Getting it up a little bit today and getting hit around, but if he settles in, that's where you get into trouble against a guy like Garrett Cole.
I like the fastball that he's able to go across his body with toward the outside part of the plate. I think that one's a tough one for right-handed hitters to deal with. This one's lifted out toward left center. McCutchen will glide under it, make the catch. Franco's going to third. And the throw goes to second base. It's not easy to get a ball down in those gaps out there with these guys.
No, it's not, but it's good base running there by Maikel Franco. The fact that, you know, Kutch is out there, he's going to catch. That ball's in the air for a long time. Chus just hit the bottom half of it. Good job of getting third base, scoring a wild pitch.
Well, now Sean O'Sullivan, who is hitting .077, 1 for 13. Chops that one foul. Ball foul over to the right side and out of play. Toyota Major League Scoreboard. The Rockies and the Marlins are facing off in Miami, and the Marlins lead at 2-0. Giancarlo Stanton, a 2-run double in that ball game. Marlins are 26-36. Up high. Slowly to shortstop, and it's gobbled up by Gong. His throw is a little wide, but Alvarez is able to hang on to the bag, and that'll do it for the Phillies here in the top of the second. No runs, 2 hits. They've gotten 3 hits so far through 2 against Garrett Cole. breaking sports news, analysis from our insiders, plus scores, schedules, and more. Visit csnphilly.com/app and download the CSN Philly Sports app today. 2-1. Pirates on top. It is a warm afternoon here in Pittsburgh, just as it is back home in the Delaware Valley. Should cool down as the afternoon moves on. We got a concert going on after today's ball game. Big and Rich, the country duo, is going to perform. Sean O'Sullivan's trying to keep himself cool. He made the final out on a ground ball. He's just finishing up his warm-up tosses. And Jung Ho Kang will lead things off for the Pirates.
Yeah, Tom, I'm not the smartest man in the world, but why would you ever wear a black shirt to a day game when it's really hot?
Well, that's a good question.
I know it's their team colors and all, but
that was the answer I was going to give you. There's a liner out to right center field. Revere will cut it off. A leadoff single. The black is very slimming also. So you think the fans should have worn gold?
Just a white t-shirt.
There's no creativity in that.
Sweat as much.
Well, that is true. There is a vendor that works behind home plate here at PNC Park that wears a different Pirates uniform every game. Yesterday he had the remember the old black pants with the pinstripe shirt, the
yes.
white pinstripe jersey. There's a curveball. That one's in there for a strike. It's 0-1.
Tom, do you know how much the Pirate paid to get his ears pierced? Buccaneer.
So say I do know the answer, but I want you to give it. A little low. It's 1-1 strike. How'd that one go over with the kids? Do they like that one?
They love it. They love it.
You know who would like that one? Larry would like that one.
Larry would like that.
1-1 strike. Chris Stewart had the base hit to start the rally in the 13th inning last night. Came around to score on Starling Marte's single up the middle. Duchess isn't as packed as the earlier steamboat was. The earlier boat was. Off the outside corner, it's 2-1.
Good pitch there. Jeff Nelson not budging.
That went a little farther off the plate. Ruiz held it for a moment. It's 3 balls and 1 strike. Today's ball game is also available in Spanish. Just use the SAP button on your television or change the language through the menu on your cable box. Phillies set up to try to turn 2. Nobody out here in the bottom of the second. And there's ball 4. So 2 on, nobody out. Garrett Cole is coming up. A perfect sacrifice situation for the Bucks. Oh, there he is, Ben. Today he's going with the sleeveless with the black. Yesterday, as we mentioned, was the black pants with the pinstripe, the white and gold pinstripe jersey. Cole shows bunt, bunts at it and misses, and it's 0-1.
This guy is intense, isn't he?
Garrett Cole.
Woo. Kicking the dirt after missing that bunt. Not folks say it's college rah-rah, it's this and that. I tell you, he's intense.
And he bunts that one, and Ruiz stumbles coming out, and from a knee gathers himself. And the sacrifice is successful. Boy, Carlos really wanted to go to third base on that, but he just couldn't get around Cole, and then just couldn't get his footing.
Got caught up in the kitty litter in front of home plate there. There's a lot of it. You see Chooch come firing out of there. Does keep his wits about him and makes a good accurate throw to first base. Hard not to panic in that situation. Because you're thinking, I have to get it out here. I have to.
You could see the wheels were moving very quickly, and then all of a sudden he was able to slow himself up. So here's Polanco. He singled to start the bottom of the first inning, up now for the second time, and he has two runners in scoring position. The Pirates lead it 2-1. Phillies will play the infield back. They'll concede the run to try to get an out here. Trying to limit as much damage as possible. High fastball swung on and missed. It's 0-1. Ball, one strike. One ball and two strikes. Ball pinballs around the dugout. Big spot though. You don't want to fall behind 4-1 or even 3-1 to Garrett Cole.
No.
Popped him up. Galvis goes running back, says he has it, makes the catch, and they're two out. Boy, that is a big out right there by Sean O'Sullivan.
It's such. If I'm Clint Hurdle right now, I want to have Polanco take a seat next to me. That was one of the worst at bats I've seen. The first pitch, he tried to hit not into the river. He tried to hit it over the river. He yanks a breaking ball foul into their dugout, and then gets jammed on another ball out of the zone and hits a pop-up to Freddie. That's a terrible approach. Terrible. And he's a leadoff guy. Phillies will take it.
Yeah, they were giving the Pirates a run there, and everybody was back.
Yep.
So now Starling Marte, he had a fielder's choice his first time up. Chops it foul into the Pirates dugout. No balls and one strike.
And from where he caught that ball, Tom, I'm not so sure that Freddie could have gotten back to that spot. If he was in on the grass, the infield grass, where he eventually caught that ball, I know Cody Ashley wasn't going to get there. That would have been tough play. May have fallen in there.
Al O'Sullivan wants to chat with Carlos Ruiz with 2 outs here in the bottom of the second inning. The Pirates come into this game 9th in the league in runs scored with 247. 8th in the league in hitting at 253. We mentioned last night Clint Hurdle's team 6 games over 500. Well, they were 4 games, actually make it 3 games under 500 at this point last year. But they still trail the St. Louis Cardinals by 6.5 games in the division. 1-1 pitch. That one's fouled over the Phillies dugout. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Go off his knuckles there, Tom. Hey. Make a pitch here, Sean. Get out of this. How soft Chooch was there. Very soft with his chest. You keep up top rigid, the ball's going to deflect and go left, right. Give Gong a chance to score from third base. Very soft and absorbent with that chest protector.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Softly right side. Utley comes charging. He's going to have to hurry. Flips with his glove, and it's not in time. A run scores. At least right now, a run scores. Ryne Sandberg's going to head up the stairs. Ryan Howard made it seem as if they got the runner. I don't know if Utley could have exchanged that to his bare hand and made a flip better than the glove.
I think he could have, and he definitely would have gotten more on it.
Oh, they're not going to review it, so he must have been safe.
Right there, just the ball was just in the air too long. And Marte can scoop. The broken bat he had last night with the shortstop. I mean, that's just too far of a distance. You're not going to get enough on it.
Yeah, he's safe. He's there on the bag as the ball scooped into the glove of Ryan Howard. So it is 3-1 Pirates. It's an infield hit for Marte. 43rd RBI. And here's McCutchen with runners on first and third. Way outside, 1 ball, no strikes. Sullivan slipped going off the mound.
Comfortable out there.
Yeah, he does. I thought Cole looked uncomfortable in that first inning. But he's got a 3-1 lead as he sits in the dugout to watch. He left the curveball that was up, and McCutchen pulled off, fortunately. And it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Back toward the middle, and Utley's got it. Throws from his backside, not in time. A run scores. It'll be another infield hit. It's 4-1. Pirates on top. Again, they'll check it underneath, but no real reaction for Freddie Galvis, although Ryne Sandberg's coming up the stairs. It was a great effort by Chase Utley.
I don't know how he got to it.
Well, that was a little closer than the last one.
Was.
I don't know, what do you think?
He's safe.
Yeah, they're going to go back down the stairs. Watch it again. And the foot is on the bag. Okay. So another infield hit. The Pirates are just pecking at the Phils right now. They've scored 4 runs in this game. Think about all the baseballs that haven't even left the infield.
Seriously.
And now Neil Walker with runners on first and second. Fly ball center field. It's not deep. Herrera's there. And the inning is over. But 2 more runs score for Pittsburgh. On 3 base hits, they lead 2. After 2 innings, the Phillies in a hole. They trail at 4-1 to Garrett Cole and the Pirates. Section for all the information, and please submit your answer on the subject line. All right, Ben, the question is, which Pirate had the first hit at Three Rivers Stadium on July 16, 1970? You remember that? You gonna go join those folks after the game? Maybe go out on the tube a little bit on the Allegheny?
Get red.
Get red. Look how warm the water is out there.
Can't be that warm.
I would agree with you on that. Here's Ben Revere as we start the third. And Revere, who singled and scored in the first inning, takes a fastball for a strike. It's 0-1. I don't want to assume that you're doing anything here, but you're looking at the roster. Is that to try to figure out who had the first hit at Three Rivers Stadium?
No.
Ben Revere has his second hit of the afternoon. He pulls that one into right field. So he's aboard to begin the third. And Odubel Herrera's coming up. Well, that'll bring us to our Geico quote of the day. Ray Searage, the pitching coach for the Pirates, on Garrett Cole. I find that refreshing about his intensity. I hear people say that's too much rah-rah stuff. That's bull. I love the edge that he brings. He just wants to beat you at everything he does. Well, it is good to have it as long as it's controlled. Whereas last night we saw the intensity, and Ken Giles even said it today, that his intensity got the best of him in last night's ball game, and the issues that he had with Ryan Sandberg and also Bob McClure.
And we can see that, but he is young enough where he can use it as a learning experience.
After the ball game last night, he did go into the manager's office. He did apologize. They talked it out. Rhino even said before the ball game, listen, if he's upset with something, we can go under the stadium and even talk about it after the inning is over with. Ken Giles said to the reporters today that he just didn't want to give a free pass to Pedro Alvarez, but he said, you know what, it is the right move to do, and he said, I have to realize that, just as we said last night. And I think everybody, all of his teammates who love Kenny were in agreement that he stepped over the line last night, and how demonstrative he was about issuing the free pass to Pedro Alvarez.
If your skipper says you do it, you do it. Whether that's right, wrong, or indifferent, he's telling you to do it. You have to do it.
Odubel chops that one foul. Bob McClure, after Ryan Sandberg went over to talk to Ken Giles last night, then Bob got into it with Kenny. At that point, you could still see the adrenaline rush that Giles was going through. No balls, 2 strikes to Herrera. And Odubel sprays it foul. Five for 14 on this road trip so far.
Odubel and Darren Ruff are running wind sprints today before the game.
Who won?
I won't tell you who won, Tom.
Yeah.
I'll leave that up to you.
I think I know. There's a foul ball. Odubel is fast. There's Darren. Runner goes. Pitch is swung on and missed. The throw to second base is wide. And another stolen base for Ben Revere. That's his 14th of the season. All right, so the Phils have a runner in scoring position with 1 out, as Odubel Herrera strikes out for the second time this afternoon. Well, next Sunday, when the Phillies take on the St. Louis Cardinals during the final game of that 3-game series, it's 1960s Phillies cap, compliments of Chevrolet, the men 15 and older. There's the cap right there. It's a great giveaway, great way to finish up the weekend before the Phils head to New York for 3 against the Yankees. You can get tickets by going to Phillies.com. 3 strikeouts for Cole. And here's Chase Utley, who had a sac fly his first time up. First pitch is way outside, 1-0. Talked about Garrett Cole going on to college and not signing with the Yankees. Normally when you're a first-round pick, you're going to get enough money that it can change your life, that you can get your career started. Cole decided he wanted the college experience. And as it turned out for him, and scouts have admitted this with certain stories that have been written on him, they said that his time at UCLA really polished his mechanics. From high school to college, his mechanics would have been polished or from high school to the pros would have been polished in lower minor leagues. But for him, he got the right coaching at UCLA. As Utley rips it foul.
And also, you get a chance to grow into your body.
That was the other thought.
Maturity, physical maturity can come a long way in those years that you're in college, 18 to 21.
Now, they did say that he did arrive with the Pirates as still a thrower more than a pitcher, but they say that he adapted to the style that he needed to be more of a pitcher pretty quickly. Utley fouls it again. This one hits the screen, and it remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Now time to take a look at the Toyota Major League scoreboard, where the Blue Jays have defeated the Red Sox 5-4. That is 10 straight wins for the Blue Jays. Blue Jays are now a game and a half behind the Yankees in the National League East. Well, they're closing quickly. Boston's lost 5 in a row. Marte settles back to make that catch, and Revere will hold up at second base. Well, speaking of Toronto, we've been mentioning that Matt Stairs was inducted into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. He came through with his promise, even with a little bit of a glare. His selfie with Fergie Jenkins. And it was during the speech because everybody was there behind him, cheering him on. Boy, Fergie Jenkins looks so much bigger than Matt, doesn't he? Fergie's a big guy.
He's a monster.
We're all very happy for Matt that he got a chance to enjoy that experience. I did not see the periscope come through, that he was periscoping. I don't know if he figured that out. Usually they'll tell you whether somebody's periscoped or not, which means that you could have watched the inductions.
I was hoping you'd tell me what that was.
I wonder if he opened it up for questions. He said he wasn't really going to do a speech. He was going to do a Q&A session. I said, well, I don't know if that's what they want. And Howard is struck out. A 98-mile-an-hour fastball. 4 strikeouts for Garrett Cole. And the side is retired. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left in scoring position. We'll head to the bottom of the 3rd. Sirloin 3rd-pound burgers. Choose from 3 varieties at $4.99 each. McDonald's. I'm loving it. And by Chevrolet. Visit your local dealer at ChevyDealer.com. Now the Pirates have taken a 4-1 lead as we go to the bottom of the 3rd here at PNC Park. Look at that view right there. Murph, I don't know where you are, but you can't see this view. It looks unbelievable, the city in the background.
Well, no, but I have a pretty good view from out here high atop left field. It's, you know what? We talked about it yesterday. Everywhere you go in this ballpark is a pretty nice view. Speaking of this ballpark and a guy that has done a nice job in this ballpark, Josh Harrison, who's leading off. You know, he was one of those guys that early in the season was really struggling for the Pirates, but Phillies fans probably didn't even realize it because against the Phillies, this guy just seems to tear it up. Take a look at his numbers this year against the Phillies. 10 for 17, 588 batting average. That includes the single that he hit in the first inning in this game. He also had those 4 hits last night. Lifetime, 19 for 57, 333. He scores runs. He knocks them in as well. Extra base hits. He does a little bit of everything for this team, especially against the Phillies. That's definitely been a thorn in their side.
Well, it's one of the reasons why, not his success against the Phillies, but what he's done over the last couple of years. It's why they signed him to the long-term deal in the offseason. And as Murph alluded to, he was struggling right before these two teams faced each other, and Many people at Pittsburgh felt it was because of the contract to trying to live up to it. Not a bad pitch. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. I think every team should have a guy like this. I mean, he's turned into an everyday player, but he was a super utility guy before they settled him at third base.
Well, it works for a ball club because you can fill him into different positions. He's good defensively, and he's not just a guy that's going to take up a spot. He will produce offensively. And yes, every team would love to have a Josh Harrison.
1-2 pitch to him. Lays off. Well, last night he made a tremendous play on a ball that was softly hit by Jeff Francoeur. And we all walked back with Jeff last night and his dad, Dave. And Jeff said, I don't think there are many third basemen that could make that play. He said he's so fast coming in. Ground ball to shortstop. To his left is Galvis, 1 out. Well, here it is. Watch this last night. Phillies could have gotten a run on this one against Jared Hughes.
It really wasn't even that close.
It really wasn't. That's what Francoeur was saying. Pedro Alvarez, the batter. Alvarez popped out his first time up, 0 for 1. Back toward the middle. Maikel Franco, who was playing that way, throws him out. That'll be 5-3 in your scorebook. You can fill out your 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot now at Phillies.com. Voting is exclusively online and available on your computer, tablet, and smartphone. Vote up to 35 times at Phillies.com. 2 away here in the third. That was not a bad pitch, but must have been off the plate inside.
Not only the 53rd pitch for Sean O'Sullivan today. You know, despite the defensive shortcomings, I guess you could say, of the Phillies today. So he's keeping that relatively down. He has had to make a few extra pitches.
Yeah, that first inning, there were at least 3 plays that didn't go his way. He could have been out of that inning without any issues. Bob McClure got 5 2/3 out of Correa last night. We think the only guy that's not available today is Genmar Gomez, who pitched 2 innings yesterday. Everybody else should be available without any problems. There's Correa. They're very happy with what they got out of him last night.
He should be.
I don't know where some of these pitches are that Jeff Nelson is not calling strikes. Ben, can you get your gear on and walk out and just don't turn around and talk to him. Just whisper to him like nobody knows you're doing it.
No one would notice, would they, Tom?
Nope, they would not. You're just about the same size as Carlos Ruiz. Both speak Spanish.
See?
ball, 1 strike. There's a fastball in there, 1-2.
Really having trouble with this mound out there, Sean O'Sullivan. Keeps digging at that dirt and falling off to the left.
To right field. Here comes Ben Revere. He'll make the catch, and the side is retired. No runs, no hits, and 1 man left. We've played 3. We'll move to the 4th inning. Phillies trail it by 3. From WB Mason are built to withstand the extreme elements. Trust Avery Labels with your most essential shipments. Who but WB Mason? Top half of the 4th inning. It'll be Maikel Franco, Cody Asche, Freddie Galvis. 5, 6, and 7 for the Phils against Garrett Cole. Mentioned that Garrett Cole came into this ball game with 9 victories, tied for the top spot in Major League Baseball. And also leads the National League with an ERA of 1.73 as play got underway today. Who are you going to pick for the National League All-Star starter, Garrett Cole or Bartolo Colon? I'm sorry, Ben.
It's a no-brainer in my book. Garrett Cole. Although as much as I would like to see Bartolo Colon swing the bat.
Well, they're going to use the DH. He can maybe DH if you want him to. 1 ball and 1 strike to Franco. Franco singled his first time up. Hits that one down the left field line, just inside the third base bag, and Franco's thinking too. He took a real wide turn around first. And I'm not sure what the third base umpire, Chris Guccione, was saying to Pete Mackanin. I don't think he called interference. Nope, he did not. Yeah, they just let that one go. So Franco pulls into second base. You see him hustling. That's his 7th double of the season.
That hit the top of the bag there?
It may have hit the top of the bag. It did look like it took an odd hop. Franco just keeps on lifting his average. Here's Cody Asche. Nice to get that run home. Nobody out, runner at second base. Asche hit it hard his last time up, as Polanco was able to track it down. Fastball, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. See the pitches per inning might be a little high, not overwhelming. 61 pitches with nobody out here in the 4th inning. Another ground ball foul.
Tell you what, watching this Franco, he gets a fastball his first at bat, gets jammed but stays inside it, shoots the ball to right. Didn't hit it terribly hard, but enough hard line drive enough to get through the hole. Then turns on one, knocks one down the line. That's going to give pitchers fits. Okay, I know I can jam him, but he still shoots it to right. Now what I do, I go farther in, then he shoots it down the left field line. So it's just great to see him be able to do that with that swing plane.
Off the end of the bat, speaking of swing plane, Cole has it, and he throws in time to get Cody Asche. 1-3 on the put out. Going over to third is Franco. So 1 out, and Freddie Galvis is coming up. Well, it's time to take a look at our T-Mobile Game Changer, and we discussed the wins leaders in Major League Baseball. And Garrett Cole, Bartolo Colon, and Felix Hernandez are the leaders in Major League Baseball. Colon, though, I mean, he's got to be the kookiest story in Major League Baseball. The fact that he has 9 wins this year. First pitch to Galvis is inside. 1 ball, no strikes. 9 wins at the age of 42.
And doing with 90% fastballs.
Up, down, in, out.
We had the game on Memorial Day. Well, I was doing the radio. Sorry, Tom.
Right.
And
you were dressed casually.
I don't think he threw a breaking ball to the 4th inning.
There's a ground ball to second. A run will score. An RBI for Galvis. 4-3 on the putout. And it's a 4-2 ball game. So the Phillies get one back here at the top of the 4th. And Carlos Ruiz will be the hitter.
Cut the lead in half.
Yeah, that's 5 hits now for the Phils this afternoon. See, that's the pitch right there. I mean, it was just off the plate, a fastball that he kind of throws across his body, and it just zips to the outside part.
He's so mechanically sound, and he continues to repeat his delivery, and doesn't look like a whole lot of effort is there. And after that first inning, we've seen the pace pick up a little. Maybe he was dehydrated. I don't know. Or just feeling that the heat was warm.
Ray Searage and Nick Leva in the dugout. Boy, that's a good pitch. Carlos a little fortunate on that. Home plate umpire is not giving the pitchers that outside corner. And now it's 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Nice to reach back and go get 97, wouldn't it?
It'd be nice to reach back and hit 97. Another foul ball. It remains 3-2.
Or 99.
Well, that's the thing. When he was in college and in the minor leagues, he would very often hit 100 with his fastball. A lot of times, though, they weren't sure if he had total command of it. That's why you see him backing off, and he'll sit mostly 94, 95, 96, and then when he needs to, he'll come back and throw that extra. And there's the slider, and it's in there for a strike, and it's the 5th strikeout for Garrett Cole. Phillies do get a run back after the leadoff double from Maikel Franco. 3.5 in the books. The Phillies trail the Pirates 4-2. Where will Toyota take you? Visit buyatoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. Buy Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. And buy the Quality Plus Sports Stores. Go further. Well, that is the Roberto Clemente Bridge, the yellow bridge that will take you to Walking Bridge and the day of games. Take you into downtown Pittsburgh across the Allegheny. We always say that this view that we have here behind home plate always looks like a movie set, one of old-time movie sets when you look across at downtown Pittsburgh. It is a gorgeous sight. There's a lot going on downtown Pittsburgh.
A lot of people walking around.
In fact, after the ball game today, Big and Rich will perform for about an hour and a half. Garrett Cole hits one foul down the right field line, and it's 0-1.
I'm a big fan of their music.
Are you going to stay for the concert?
No.
Okay.
Can you give me a piggyback back across the bridge?
The block and a half to the hotel.
What a liar Murph was. A block and a half?
Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. In there, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
If a block and a half is the equivalent of 3 miles, then yes, we walk the block and a half.
Murph, is that true? Is that what the equivalent of 3 miles is? A block and a half?
Okay. First of all, from where you're sitting, can you see our hotel?
No.
Yes, you can.
All right. Well, how do you know?
Because you can. It is 2 city blocks and the length of the bridge to get to the ballpark.
Well, that's not a block and a half, then.
I may have. There is the hotel right there. That's it.
Okay.
I can see my room. Someone is in there.
It's not a block and a half away, though.
It's 2 blocks and the length of the bridge. It's a nice walk.
For my calculations, though, Greg, we'd have to walk down here, walk out around, all the way around the stadium, correct,
Right,
Tom?
it's a great walk.
Get on the bridge and walk all the way across the bridge, and then 4 or 5 blocks to the hotel.
Thank you, Ben, for clarifying that.
That's right.
This is where you should have your GoPro, Murph, so we can see how long it actually is.
Wow. I enjoyed my walk this morning. I'll enjoy it this afternoon.
So we get a miss. Cole is struck out. And
Murph,
one out.
do we know why the locks are locked onto the bridge?
No, we don't. I asked Tom about that. Tom seemed to have a little bit more information about it than I did. Apparently it's a tradition, and they do it in Paris as well, Tom, you said? I didn't know
believe that's true, yeah. And they had to cut the locks off wherever it is that they do it in Paris because they were getting they're weighting the area down.
Okay.
Yeah. There they
I've
are.
never seen that before. It's pretty cool.
I mean, there's hundreds of them on that bridge.
Do you need one?
I do not. But it's kind of neat.
Polanco rips one out toward right center field. Herrera won't get it. It'll be a one hop off the wall. And Polanco's going to pull into second with a one-out double. So base runner in scoring position, and here's Starling Marte coming up.
It's a good swing. If this kid could figure it out, I tell you, he definitely has all the tools when he doesn't try and do too much. Now, you take a look at that swing compared to the swing he came up second and third with one out. It's a completely different swing. That was free and easy, nice and loose. The time before, it was like he was up there like a giant grunt trying to hit the ball into the river. But you can see what he does defensively. The throw he had last night was phenomenal.
It was phenomenal, yeah.
Cody Ashley could have been out, but Harrison dropped the ball. He can run. He can steal bases. He can hit for power. But that's the trials and tribulations you as a ball club have to endure with a young player.
Think about that outfield, though. That outfield is long, barring injury and barring any kind of contract concerns. That outfield could be together for a while with Marte in left, McCutchen in center. There's a line drive base hit into left field. Polanco on his way home. The throw by Cody Ashley is not cut off, and he is out at the plate. It's almost as if he died in his slide. He never got to the dish, and Carlos Ruiz was able to tag him out. And Cody Ashley has his first outfield assist of his major league career. How did he not beat that throw?
The throw was, he beat the throw by, I don't know how far. Glenn Hurdle came up the steps and walked right immediately down.
Solid technique by Ashley to let this one fly. Oh, he slid way too early.
And he never even reached his arm towards home plate.
Yeah, Carlos gave him a perfect path to get into the plate. He slid way too early. What's he doing?
It's amazing to me how guys just don't know how to slide anymore. They don't know how to slide. Now, that would have been a perfect example of giving the guy a plate and then taking it away, but you're no longer allowed to do that. And Chooch was so good at that before they instituted this rule.
Well, here is McCutchen. Marte did go to second base on the throw. Honestly, Ben, when the throw came in, I'm thinking, why is Mike Hell not cutting that ball off?
And hit the grass and kind of slowed up even more. Looks like Cody had a little bit of trouble getting that out of his glove.
Still good technique, though.
Yes, very good technique.
Look where he starts that slide.
But it was so far towards the third base dugout.
Yeah. And it was high, like he left his feet pretty high.
The Willie Mays Hayes there. Come on, keep coming, keep coming. You know, the fadeaway pinky slide was a perfect opportunity, Tom.
ball, 1 strike to McCutchen. Way inside, 2-1. Balls and 1 strike to McCutchen. Well, he walks him, and now he'll face Neil Walker. Didn't look like he wanted a whole lot to do with Andrew McCutchen.
He got Walker to ground to a double play and a fly ball to center field, so maybe he just feels a little bit more comfortable with Walker at home plate. He did have a base open.
Hits that one off the end of the bat foul, just toward the tarp off the third base line. 0-1. This is more of his power side, the left side of the plate. So at the Major League scoreboard, the Nationals on top of Milwaukee 5-2. Yunel Escobar has a couple RBIs in that ball game. The Nationals are currently in second place behind the Mets. Mets are trailing the Braves as we speak. That game is in the 6th inning at Citi Field. Ball and 2 strikes. That was a high changeup from Sean O'Sullivan. Keeps it in front. Good job of keeping it right around the plate. Marte stays at second. McCutchen stays at first. Neil Walker, as I think we've talked about many times, grew up in the suburbs of Pittsburgh. He's tutored at second base by Bill Mazeroski, who was an outstanding defensive second baseman. He's in the Hall of Fame, but basically because of his defense. Walker talks about the fact that everybody in his family, his uncles, his grandparents, his father, they think it's so cool he plays for the Pirates, but they think it's even cooler that it's Bill Mazeroski who is teaching him the intricacies of how to be a top flight second baseman defensively.
It's not as easy for Neil Walker, considering his size, and he's a bigger, kind of like a Ryan Sandberg. He's a bigger guy. 6'3", 210 pounds. He's a big boy.
Yeah, I didn't think he was as tall as he was listed, but walking by him yesterday, he is a big kid.
Think they had like the Allen Iverson listing on him?
Yeah, I did. Three balls, 2 strikes. Runners will be off. There they go. And the pitch fouled at the plate. It remains 3-2. He was like you were, Ben. He started out as a catcher. You should have made the transition to second base.
Yeah, but he could hit.
Yeah. Switch hitter, like you.
Yeah.
Grew up in the suburbs of a major city, like you.
Probably doesn't use as much hair product, like me.
I would agree with you on that one.
Obviously, you made the right decision.
You mean the hair product?
No. Moving to second.
Again, the runners will be off. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. There they go. Pitch is low, ball 4. So that'll load up the bases. And Josh Harrison will come up. Harrison 1 for 2. Phillies are going to start moving around in the bullpen. A couple of guys were stretching just a few moments ago. Araujo was starting to stretch. Bob McClure will take the stroll out to the mound. Maybe give Sean O'Sullivan a breather. He's kind of lost his command in this inning. It's interesting. We were saying how he was kind of working around Andrew McCutchen, and he was doing that more on purpose, but then he kind of lost his rhythm of the strike zone against Neil Walker. Philly's favorite sports blog is now a TV show. Check out the 700 Level, hosted by John Gonzalez, Thursday nights 5:30 and 10:30 over on the Comcast Network and on the 700level.com. So the meeting is over on the mound. Harrison stands in. The runners lead off. O'Sullivan ready to go. And he throws a breaking ball that's in there for strike. It's 0-1. The ball's 1 strike. Harrison breaks his bat, slow roller left side, cut off by Franco, zips the throw over in time, and the side is retired. So O'Sullivan leaves them loaded. We've completed our first 4 innings here in Pittsburgh. On to the 5th inning. O'Sullivan will lead things off when we come back. His answer. All right, Ben, here we go. Which Pirate had the first hit at Three Rivers Stadium on July 16, 1970?
All right, I think I have it narrowed down to 2 people. Can you give me a clue?
Yeah, he liked to shine shoes.
Infielder or outfielder?
Well, it depended, but I would say mostly infielder.
I'm going to go with Richie Hebner, third baseman.
You are correct.
Nice.
Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack. I had one more clue left.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
What was it?
He used to dig graves in the off season. Sean O'Sullivan leads things off. The lights are on here at PNC Park. It's gotten a little cloudy, hazy. One-two pitch. O'Sullivan is down looking, one away. Well, that's 6 strikeouts for Gerrit Cole. Saturday, June 27th, when the Phillies take on the Washington Nationals. All fans 14 and under will receive the W.B. Mason collectible truck. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. Great giveaway. The Phillies have had that collectible truck as part of their promotional schedule for the last few years. Good folks at W.B. Mason. Friends of the Pirates, friends of the Phils.
That is a cool looking truck.
Ben Revere's 2 for 2. Takes outside, 1 ball, no strikes.
My brother always used to say, I'm a car man, my brother's a truck man, and my daddy's a ladies man.
What did your dad say about that?
He taught him to say it. Of course, Mom didn't much care for it.
No.
Oh, that's funny.
Fly ball, left center field, not deep. And McCutchen makes the catch. And 1 away. Odubel Herrera's coming up. He's 0 for 2. He struck out a couple of times. Let's check in with Greg Murphy. Murph.
All right, Tom, it's a good time to tell you about our Coors Bank with timeless moment on this date, June 13th in 2008. I'm sure you guys remember this. Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, and Pat Burrell all went back to back to back in the first inning of a game against the St. Louis Cardinals.
Oh, yeah.
And they ended up winning that game 20-2 over the St. Louis Cardinals in 2008, the magical season of 2008.
You know, it's interesting. There was a point where Charlie Manuel's team was on the pace to score 1,000 runs. You guys remember that? How good they were offensively? Yeah. And it was right around that game that people started talking to Charlie about scoring 1,000 runs. You know, I think the Cleveland Indians had done it earlier when Charlie was the hitting coach and the manager. And Charlie said, well, he goes, let's not put the cart before the horse here. Let's still play some good baseball. Well, the Phillies, after that 20-2 game, they kind of struggled offensively for a good portion for a little while, but they put it all together, of course, before the end of the year, and then eventually won the World Championship. 1 ball, 1 strike to Odubel Herrera, who struck out swinging both times. And he pops this one up. Josh Harrison into foul territory. And an easy inning for Gerrit Cole. 1-2-3. Phillies have had 6 in a row retired. Middle of 5th inning. Pittsburgh on top, 4-2. inning. Pedro Alvarez gone, and Chris Stewart will lead things off against right-hander Sean O'Sullivan. 4 runs on 7 hits for the Pirates, 2 runs on 5 hits for the Phillies. Well, technically, this is considered a day game as we head towards 6 o'clock on the East. And day games and the Pirates have their own storyline so far this year, Murph.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good storyline for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I've had a lot of people ask me, why are they starting the game at 4 o'clock out there in Pittsburgh? I think we found the reason. How about they are 12-7 in days that start in the afternoon and 7-0 here at PNC Park. They have yet to lose an afternoon game in those games. 6 home runs in those 7 games here at PNC Park. 298, 41 runs scored, almost 6 runs a game while playing day games at PNC Park. One of the main reasons, the guy that's coming up, Pedro Alvarez, 17 for 40. He's batting .350 with 6 home runs and 11 RBIs when the sun is out. He enjoys playing during the day.
I think these guys have played so many day games during their lives. You would think that more players would be a little used to it and have better numbers. It's just one of those ebbs and flows. They've been very good here at home overall. They've been exceptionally good here at home against the Phils over the years. I don't know. It's interesting, Ben. I don't know what lends itself to success. You know, some guys like day games. Other guys would prefer to have the routine of a 7 o'clock game. Their sleep is the same. Their workouts are the same. It's a little different when you're playing a day game.
Yeah, and I think that's what, for me, the biggest difference was sleep. You know, being a catcher, I needed my rest. And if you don't get that certain amount of sleep, it's tough.
Last night it was Cameron Rupp who did the catching. Ruiz back behind the plate today. Carlos will most likely be out there again tomorrow. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Alvarez. Although I say that, and Ryan Sandberg spent a lot of yesterday talking about, you know, getting Cameron Rupp more playing time. He wasn't going out of his way of saying that, you know, one was going to get more over the other, or that Rupp was going to get more over Carlos, but that he was going to give him some more time, and we've seen that the last few days.
Yeah.
Chase Utley had Alvarez played perfectly. He grabs it and throws 1 away. It's time for the official playbook, brought to you by Citizens Bank. With more than 6 million people in the greater Philadelphia region, there's ample opportunity to help build houses, volunteer, or be a mentor. Visit citizensbank.com/community to learn more. At Citizens Bank, we want to help you bank better. So the next time you have a question about money, don't keep it to yourself. Ask a citizen. Well, the Duchess is making its way up the Allegheny. Gong, a .286 hitter. He singled his first time up, walked his last time. Chopper back over the mound. Utley gets to it quickly. 2 outs.
Good route on that ball there by Chase. Circles it, gets around it so he has momentum coming back towards first base. So he doesn't catch it going towards third base. See him, he circles the baseball, comes up, scoops through it, throws the dart to first base. A lot of guys won't make that turn, especially you can do that if you have a guy as slow a runner like Gong is. You can afford that time.
Here's Chris Stewart. And he floats that one out towards shallow center field, and Utley makes the over-the-shoulder basket grab, and the side is retired here in the 5th inning. Nothing across for Pittsburgh. They go down 1-2-3. And Chase Utley has a hand in all 3 plays, including the last one. This is not an easy play, like a receiver going out for a pass. He was able to make the grab. Of the week is back with the big club and making a case for why he belongs. Michael has been hot at the corner with his glove since his return and has defended the left side of the infield with his strong arm. At the plate, he has got into the swing of things in a hurry, and his power has definitely been on display, depositing 4 home runs, 8 extra base hits, and 8 RBIs in the first week of June alone. Franco's contributions are indeed welcomed and are brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Well, Michael so far today has had 2 hits. He's singled. He's also doubled. So 2 for 2. His average continues to climb. Chase Utley's going to lead things off as we go to the top of the 6th. Utley's 0 for 1. Sac fly his first time up. Then he flied out to left his last time. Outside. And it's 2-0.
When you're struggling as a hitter, you will try just about everything. Very rarely will you see Chase Utley use a white bat. Usually uses a black Marucci.
Pops him up. And the shortstop Gung is there. And 1 away. I don't know if he's as superstitious as Bryce Harper. After popping up, I don't know if they'll go back to it. You think that one's a tad lighter compared to the black one?
I doubt it. Just a different finish on it.
Here's Howard. He struck out twice today. He's 0 for 2. Garrett Cole's now retired 7 straight.
And when you're struggling, you start to see hitters doing things they normally wouldn't do. A 2-0 count, Chase Utley leading off an inning. You don't normally see him swing at that pitch. Fastball inside, that's not the pitch that he's looking for in that at bat. Swings anyway because it's a good hitter's count and pops it up. That's just not Chase Utley.
Side corner. Ooh, that's a tough pitch. Third time that Howard has struck out. 7 strikeouts for Cole. And there are 2 outs here in the 6th inning. Oh, Garrett Cole with some excellent command. He got this pitch right where he wanted it. Stewart didn't look like he moved his glove at all on that too.
No, I mean it. And that looked like a 4-seamer, not the one that comes back.
I thought it was a 2-seamer. But you're right, it did look like it was a little straight. So now Franco's up, and it's 1 ball and no strikes to Michael. 2 for 2. Lifts that one to right center field. Polanco didn't see it right away, but it's up there high enough for him to recover. And another easy inning for Garrett Cole. 9 in a row retired by the Pirates right-hander on to the bottom of the 6th here in Pittsburgh. do. Call 1-800-JEFF now or visit jefferson.edu. And buy Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop Nissan.com. Well, as we move to the bottom of the 6th inning, Jose Tabata is going to pinch hit for Garrett Cole. So Cole is done after 6 innings. You know, we said that he looked sluggish in the 1st inning. I mean, when you use your bullpen the way the Pirates did last night, now it wasn't overdone, but they did use their bullpen a lot in yesterday's game, just as the Phillies did. There might be something wrong with Garrett Cole that they're lifting him after 6 innings. Now, not physically, he just may not be feeling all that well. Do you know what I'm saying, Ben? You know, he was in control. He's retired the last 9 batters he's faced.
I mean, he could be just gassed. You know, he is a power guy. He's putting. It doesn't look like he's putting a whole lot of effort into it, but if you're throwing 97, you have to be putting some type of effort into it.
Chatting with A.J. Burnett. They say that Burnett has had a very good influence on him. .93 pitches for Garrett Cole. No walks today. 7 strikeouts for Cole. Tabata takes inside. 2 balls and 1 strike. It's going to be a tough play. Ruiz gets out quickly, throws, and it's in time to get Tabata. Fine play by Carlos. 1 out.
He does this just about as well as anybody. He had a play earlier in the game where he stumbled getting out from behind home plate, but he gathers himself. And this is the one where he spins. Usually comes out and doesn't make the 360 turn. But he does it on this one because you can get a little bit more on your throw, a little bit more velocity. I was thinking of the play in the no-hitter against the Reds.
Oh, yeah, with the
come
ball
out bouncing over that bat.
Yeah, the ball rolls up the bat. Polanco takes strike 1, 0-1.
You know, as that play played out, anything could have hit that bat. It could have done anything. He could have tripped on the bat.
High, 1 ball and 1 strike. Archimedes Caminara warming up in the bullpen for the Pirates. Now the 1-2 pitch inside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Just as we said that Jenmar Gomez may not be available today, there he is warming up in the bullpen.
Sullivan was, I mean, he's complained about numerous pitches today. Kind of see him walk it off towards the left side of the mound.
Utley ranges toward the middle, slides, gets to his feet, throws, and it's in time to get Polanco. Boy, an excellent play by Utley.
His last 2 innings defensively.
There are 2 outs, and Marte is coming up. Couldn't hurt. Was walking up the stairs and then takes an about face. Goes right back down. Chase does a great job getting to it, but then popping up immediately.
Now, the reason he goes into that slide, we see him do that over and over again, is to stop his momentum from going out towards the outfield. Stop it, get to his feet so you can get your momentum going back towards first base.
All right, here's Marte. He's 2 for 3, a couple singles, an RBI, a run scored. Broke his bat, and that'll be a base hit to right field for Marte, who has a 3-hit day. Phillies Baseball Academy is open for boys and girls aged 6 to 14 for softball and baseball. You get professional coaching and skill development from Phillies players, coaches, and Baseball Academy instructors. A trip to Citizens Bank Park is included in it. For more information, call 610-520-3400 or go to philliescamps.com for more information.
I would assume Marte would be off running here.
There he goes, and then he stops. Well, he stumbled more than anything else.
He stumbled. Really stumbled.
Runner goes, pitch is swung out and missed. The throw by Ruiz is high. Utley goes high in the air to grab it. I wonder if Utley is thinking that Marte may have come off the bag and he kept the tag on him. And Ryan Sandberg is coming out to talk to the home plate umpire. The other thing is, did he think that McCutchen interfered with Carlos Ruiz? I don't know if he came over in front of Carlos. Take a look. This is Utley grabbing it. Man, he got high in the air on that one. Now Utley's saying that he switched feet on the bag. And they may review this. That might be a tough one to. Oh, he's up off the bag right there. And Marte is saying that Utley pushed him off the bag. Now, Chase is better than a lot of guys in selling that, where he's able to keep the tag on and then kind of give a little bit of a nudge. You can't purposely push somebody off the bag, but you can carry their momentum or help the momentum.
And you'd be surprised at how many of those tags are continuously applied after the slide has taken place, that you get guys rung up on.
Right, so what we looked at, I don't know if you agree with this or not, Ben, it looked like his foot, he changed feet on the bag, and Utley still had the tag on him, and then eventually his foot came off the bag ever so lightly. So the umpires are chatting with the folks from New York, trying to decide whether that was indeed the case.
I think the biggest thing is going to be whether or not Chase Utley pushed him off the bag.
And that has to be determined by the folks up in New York. You know, or was it just momentum and he kept his hand on him as the momentum was kind of carrying him off the second base bag. Take a look. Now watch him switch feet at one point on the bag. See, the tag's on him right there, and he's up off the bag. But is the glove on him? It's tough to tell. And then at the end, watch here. And now his foot is off the bag. And the tag is still on him there. So that's where his foot's off. You can see the area, and the glove is on him. But the determination has to be whether Utley forced him off or not, or if it was his momentum. That was a good shot, though, because I wanted to see, you know, the switch of the feet on the bag, which, you know, there was daylight, but you couldn't tell whether Chase's glove was on him or not. It didn't look like it was, but his glove was definitely on him when his foot came off the second time. All right, so they're taking a long look at this one here in the bottom of the 6th inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes to McCutchen. And here is the call. He is out. Yeah, I think Utley sells it better than anybody, Ben. I really do. Here's Marte saying he was pushed off the bag. So the call is overturned. Clint Hurdle is not pleased about it. He cannot argue, but he is getting an explanation from Jeff Nelson, the home plate umpire. So the inning is over. No runs, 1 hit. They caught stealing, and nobody left. So we'll go to the 7th inning with the Pirates on top of the Phillies by 2. Well, time now for your Delaware Valley Honda dealers game summary. Sean O'Sullivan, 6 innings so far, 4 earned runs. Garrett Cole, 6 innings, 7 strikeouts, 1 earned run. And he is done for the day. Maikel Franco has 2 hits today. He also has extended his hitting streak to 11 consecutive ball games. And the top 2 hitters have certainly done some damage for the Pirates, Polanco and Marte. So now as we begin the top of the 7th inning, the rain starts to fall. And Archimedes Caminero will be the new pitcher.
Rain starts to fall and the sun comes out.
It's a sun shower, Ben.
That's all it is, Tom.
Get the ponchos on before it starts to get windy. Exhibit A, the poncho went on easily. Exhibit B, well, they're having a little bit of an issue. Little bit of an issue. It's like an airline. I mean, help the person next to you. Put the oxygen mask on and then help everybody next to you. There's a bunt foul by Ashe, and it's 0-1. She's given up, or she's looking for a little energy.
I think I'm just going to have this beer.
The beer goes down easier than the poncho goes on. I didn't know you were allowed to bring umbrellas. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike to Ashe. And as she pulls it toward first, diving stop by Alvarez, and he flips underhand, and Camanero's there to cover. 3-1 on the putout. A nice play by Pedro Alvarez.
You know if the dive was necessary, but wanted to make sure he could get to it. So that's 3 balls that I can count of in the last 2 days that were hit sharply. The one in right field that Polanco made the great grab on and knocked the Cincinnati sign off the wall in right field last night. The line drive in the right center field gap, his first at bat, that Polanco caught, and now this ball hit by Cody to Alvarez.
And Galvis lines one over the head of Polanco, and a one hop off the scoreboard. And Freddie's going to go to second base. He's there with a 1-out double. He's 2 for 3 this afternoon.
Good boy, Freddie.
Good swing by Galvis. And now Carlos Ruiz will come up.
Now it could be me, but it just seems like his head is way more on the baseball. And that swing is about as short as you could get.
Carlos takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Justin DeFreitas, Luis Garcia, both warming up. Carlos hits it foul over the Phillies dugout. 0-2. Looks like the rain is all but stopped. And Santa Claus is here. So Murph, Ben, everything's good. Murph, Santa Claus is in the house.
Yeah, I didn't get to see him when I was walking around.
He's out where you were standing earlier.
That doesn't look warm at all.
No.
Oh, God.
Listen, if you're gonna sell it that you're gonna be Santa Claus, you got to sell it even when it's 95 degrees.
Well, I guess that's true.
The beard needs a little work, though.
That's what Murph looks like at the beach.
Yeah.
And that's without my shirt on.
Look at the guy in the Pirates shirt. Just talk. Uh-oh.
I can't go on.
Can't go on anymore. He's just Santa's helper. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Let me ask you something. I mean, this is a serious question. What do you think he gets out of it? Like dressing Santa Claus coming to a baseball game?
I haven't a clue, Tom. Not a clue.
I think maybe he's cutting weight for wrestling or something.
I did think about something like that. Carlos skies it out towards shallow right. And Polanco is there. Makes the catch. 2 outs.
You're right, though. You go to a ball game to enjoy yourself in the comforts of a beautiful ballpark, and maybe have a beverage or two and get some good food. Not sit there and sweat.
Well, I'm not saying he hasn't had a beverage or two. I think those young ladies that young lady there is a little confused right now.
You don't look like the guy at the mall.
Mom's probably going to turn around and say, hey, let's back off a little bit. There's Andres Blanco.
Scarred for life.
Blanco 7 for 20 so far this year as a pinch hitter.
Sean O'Sullivan with another great job today.
He had 4 earned runs over 6 innings. But a lot of those runs, they are earned, but it wasn't all his fault.
I still think something needs to be done about that ruling. It is your choice to go to another base, yes, but if you go the conventional way, it's an out.
Swing and a miss, 0-2.
And if you throw a ball into a runner, that's an error. If you do it any other time, it's an error.
Yeah, I think that one should have been an error. I would agree with you on that.
Chooch drops the ball at home plate, and he would have been out. That should be an error, in my opinion. But I'm not the official scorekeeper. It's been like that for 100 years. I know that.
Andres Blanco fouls it back, and it remains 0-2. Phil's yesterday 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. For 9 with runners in scoring position yesterday, and hitless with runners in scoring position here today. Ryan Sandberg said before the ball game today, said, you know, we need to be better. Obviously, we know that. We need to be more aggressive when there's runners in scoring position and less than 2 outs. Here, there's a runner in scoring position with 2 outs. Way outside, 1-2 to Andres Blanco.
Good 2-out knock right here. How come I don't remember him with Florida?
Who's that?
Caminero.
It's not a surprise because I don't really remember him with Florida.
I don't know if he got to the big leagues with them or not.
Another foul ball by Blanco. Yeah, he did. He pitched in 19 games for them during a 2-year span.
Yeah. Huh.
No, I got that's why I'm waiting here to check.
Especially with an arm like this, you know, you would think that would be a guy that would stick out and you would remember.
Clint Hurdle to the phone. Somebody's going to get up to throw with Revere on deck. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Blanco. And now 3-2. He's battled back. He was behind, no balls and 2 strikes, and now it's 3-2. Another good at bat from Andres Blanco coming off the bench.
It's like it's Bastardo warming up. You tell yourself as a hitter, win the battle. I've battled. I've come too far. Win the battle. The battle is hitting a ball hard somewhere. Once you hit it hard, it's out of your control. But hit a ball hard somewhere.
Out toward left center field. Marte on the run. He's going to get to the spot, makes the catch, and the side is retired. Well, long at bat for Andres Blanco, but he's unable to drive in Freddie Galvis. So as we stretch here at PNC Park, the Pirates still lead it by 2. games, but the Phils haven't gotten much else offensively as we move to the bottom of the 7th inning. Every time the Phillies pitchers retire the opposition 1-2-3, Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Sean O'Sullivan did it once today. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Justin DeFreitas is the first one out of the pen as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. He'll face McCutchen, who was up when Marte was thrown out or pushed out to end the 6th inning. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Oh, DeFreitas certainly has become a workhorse for the Phillies. As you see, Watson loosening up in the pen for the Pirates. Pitched an inning yesterday, picked up a couple strikeouts, allowed a hit. Pitched in Wednesday's game, an inning and a third, struck out 2. Two balls, 2 strikes. And that one's hit sharply to first, and it's picked out of the air by Howard, 1 away. Well, if you know somebody who is an extraordinary scholar, well, you want to go to Phillies.com/scholar for more information. What is an extraordinary scholar? Well, it's a sophomore or junior with a minimum GPA of 3.0. You have to write an essay sharing how you are contributing to the common good through service. 2 winners selected each month to be honored on the field as an extraordinary scholar. And now with 1 out, here is Neil Walker. Walker is 0 for 2, a double play, a fly out. He's also walked, takes outside, 1 ball, no strikes. And now 1 ball, 1 strike. On the inside corner, and it's 1-2. Neil Walker, when he was in the minor leagues, was still a catcher for the Pirates. Then they moved him to third base, and then he eventually settled at second base. I mentioned he grew up in the suburbs of Pittsburgh. Always a good athlete. Was a quarterback in high school. Football's pretty big out here.
You think?
You think? Fouls it off the screen. It remains 1-2. Does have more of a build for a third baseman, though, than a second baseman.
Yes, he does. And that's not a normal transition from catcher to third. That's typical. But from third to second with his size.
You think catcher to third is typical or not?
Well, I wouldn't say typical, but most of the time they go to first, like kind of like a Carlos Delgado.
Right. Strikeout 2-3 on the putout.
I'm saying if you're usually a catcher, you usually have pretty good hands. Or just
absolutely.
Maybe they feel you have too good of a bat.
You don't want to. They don't want to wear you down.
They don't want to wear you down.
So that's why they didn't move you from behind the plate.
Tom.
There's 2 outs for Josh Harrison, who is 1 for 3. Harrison hits it down the right field line. That'll slice into the crowd. And it's 0-1.
Well, you look at guys like Joe Mauer, who's Gold Glove catcher, and they want him to get hurt, and then he switches to first and he DHs, and his batting average is tumbled.
It is strange that did happen. You would think that it would have his batting average would have evolved more. Power numbers are down.
Well, he's never been a guy that's going to hit 30 homers.
One and one to Josh Harrison. Guy's still working it down behind home plate.
Is that a real mustache?
Yes, it is.
It's awesome.
It's a handlebar. He didn't used to have it that way. Over to third. Franco backs up on it. Still has plenty of space. Side is retired in order. So 1-2-3, 7th inning for Justin DeFreitas. 6 more outs for the Phils offense to make up a couple runs when we get back. Can't go wrong when you buy right. And buy your Delaware Valley Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Del Valle Honda dealer or visit DelValleHondaDealers.com today. Top of the 8th inning on a humid day here in Pittsburgh, where Santa Claus's helper is trying to get the crowd into it a little bit, get the wave going. Sean Rodriguez will take over at first base. This is the norm for the Pirates when it comes to late inning defense. He takes over at first base. Tony Watson, into his 32nd ball game, will take over on the mound. So Garrett Coles goes 6 innings. Archimedes Caminero goes 1. And now Watson will pitch the 8th inning here. Jeff Francoeur is out in the on-deck circle to pinch hit for Odubel Herrera.
Is he on base here, Ben?
Ben's 2 for 3. He's been on base a couple times. Larry Bowa making the adjustment to the lineup card. His handwriting not as nice as Pete Maccannon's. Set on the left field line. That's going to drop for a base hit. And it skims across the wall, and Revere will get to second base easily. And that's a 3-hit day. 10th double of the year for Ben Revere. It's time for the Major League Notebook. Murph?
All right, thanks a lot, Tom. Presented by St. Joseph's University. We told you last night in the Notebook that Steven Strasburg was close to making his return to the Nationals rotation. Well, Doug Fister is actually a step ahead of him. Fister is trying to battle back from tightness in his forearm through 6 scoreless innings. His second rehab start at the AA level in Harrisburg. He allowed just a couple of hits, no runs, no walks, and they brought him back to D.C. He is going to do a bullpen sometime this weekend, and if that goes well, he'll be back in the rotation. Also, Torrey Hunter, who was suspended for 2 games for his tirade the other day, and it was going to appeal. He has dropped that appeal. He began serving his suspension today, and just for the record, it is 0.7 miles from our hotel to PNC Park. 0.7 miles, guys.
It's a nice walk. It's not a block and a half, but it's a nice walk.
Not from the booth here.
Yeah, where's that? Is that from out in left field?
No, that's to PNC Park.
Right. There's the Fairmont. We are in PNC Park. We are on the home plate side. Jeff Francoeur. We walked back with Jeff last night. He didn't think it was a block and a half. 2 balls and no strikes.
How come Murph always has to be right?
Jeff did not think it was a block and a half, Murph, nor did if we even coaxed Jeff's dad Dave into the conversation. He would not have thought it was a block and a half.
Yeah, well, you said 3 miles.
I was joking about that.
Oh. Well, well, okay.
I did say 3 miles. Big rip, but it's 2-1.
Just for the record, I just missed you guys on my walk over here this morning. That's why I'm bringing it up.
You missed us in having us, or you just missed us because you left at a different time?
No. Both.
Okay. 2 balls, 1 strike to Francoeur. And he rips it into left field, a base hit. Rounding third, heading for home is Revere. He's going to score. And Francoeur with an RBI pinch hit single. It's a 1-run ball game. The Phillies pinch hitters continue to come through. They decide to roll the dice and send the righty up against the lefty. It was the right move.
Well, you know Watson likes his heater, and it's a mid-90s heater. The 2-0 hack by Francoeur was very aggressive. Watson tries to go back in there with another fastball. Frenchie will have none of it and laces a liner to left field. That's good aggressive swings right there, and Papa likes it. So at least we know what Jeff will look like in a couple years.
Dad Dave is with the Phillies visor on. Makes his home down in Florida here for this 3-game series, and then we'll head back home as the Phillies head to Baltimore. Here's Utley. Utley takes inside. Watson is pretty stingy. We mentioned this last night. His earned run average in his last couple of dozen games is well under 1. It was at .79 going into yesterday's game. He pitched a scoreless inning. It dropped to .69. But now the Phillies get a run against him. Utley takes strike 1, 1 ball, 1 strike. Sandberg content to allow the 2 lefties, the 2 veterans, to bat here against Watson. Utley here and Ryan Howard on deck. He did have the opportunity, if he wanted to put Hernandez in and maybe put Ruff in for Howard. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And he pulls it into right field, a base hit. Francoeur's going to think about going to third. In fact, he didn't think about it more than a second. He was on to third easily. And the Phils have first and third with nobody out. 3 consecutive hits for the Phillies here in the top of the 8th inning. And Clint Hurdle to the phone. He just said get Bastardo up. Well, for Chase Utley, and this is a great swing. It ends an 0 for 24 slump with that single to right field.
Well, it's a great swing, but You know, I talked to you in between the breaks. It said, just seems like his swing is choppy. You know, his swing is short, yes, but it seemed like it got to a point where it's choppy. That swing there was not choppy. It was more fluid. Still short, but not a get to the ball and off the ball swing.
Oh, there's Bastardo. I guess Bastardo's warming up for Ashe. Because you got Howard here, then Franco.
They have Hughes down there, Scahill.
Scahill, they said, may not be available today, but still.
He did pitch a couple last night, but.
First and third, and the pitch to Howard. He hits it off his foot.
Hughes was in the ball game last night, struck out Darren Ruff on a good sinker ball guy. You might see in this ball game.
Winds are picking up a little bit. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Howard has struck out 3 times in today's game. He's behind 1 ball and 2 strikes, and looks seemingly overmatched on that breaking ball right there.
Heat her up.
Well, now he may get that breaking ball with a count 2-2. Ball nearly hit Ryan Howard. Three and 2. Francour's over at third. Utley's at first. Franco, the Phillies' best hitter, is in the on-deck circle. To the Phillies dugout towards Scott Sheridan, one of Pittsburgh's finest as well, up on the staircase. Everybody okay down there, Murph?
I think everyone's fine. Yeah. Scott's keeping the ball.
Oh, is he? He is a souvenir collector. Howard inside, ball 4, and that's going to load up the bases. Well, they are certainly getting Tony Watson on a bad day. Still nobody out, and Maikel Franco is going to be the hitter. Franco today is 2 for 3. A little surprised they haven't had a right-hander up. I mean, you have the 2 lefties in the pen.
I don't get it. They must just be short.
Yeah. Franco slowly to third. Harrison comes in, coming to the plate. And they get Francoeur. 1 out. And now Cody Ashe's coming up.
Gets a sinker down and away and just tries to do too much. I was thinking to myself, I hope he doesn't try and do too much here.
I think he would have been more suited probably to go to right center field with that one.
Or take one. Who cares? It's 0-1.
All right, here's Ashe, lefty on lefty, and Ashe takes strike 1, 0-1.
if it's not that one you're looking for, you don't have to swing. You still have 2 others.
Yeah, and he's going so good that he can run the count to 2 strikes, and it seems like he'll be okay.
It's just tough, though. You want to be that hero.
As she dribbles one in front of the plate. Here comes Watson. He flips, and just in time to get Chase Utley. 2 outs. Well, he had the best base runner the Phillies have, and he was barreling down on home plate. And Watson was able to get the ball and flip in time to retire Utley for the 2nd out here in the 8th inning.
Another one of those plays that you work on tirelessly in spring training, and you never have to do it throughout the course of the season. Well, here you have to do it. It's more so with a squeeze bunt, not a swinging bunt. But Watson gets to it. A lot of pitchers do the Chase Utley where they shovel it with their glove. Yep. He went down and got that one barehanded.
Well, it's up to Freddie Galvis with the Phillies down by 1 here in the top of the 8th inning. The bases are loaded. Galvis' natural side from the right side of the plate. And he takes high 1-0. Nobody out, bases loaded, 1 run was in, and now the Phils have back-to-back dribblers in front of the plate. Into third. 2-0. Taking a strike here, Ben?
No.
2 balls, no strikes. Runners lead off.
Let her eat.
Inside, 3-1. The moan from the crowd. Nowhere to put him. And a 3-ball, 1-strike pitch to Galvis. Ground ball to second base. How about this? The Pirates are going to get out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam. They allow 1 run, and somehow Tony Watson, who was all over the place, was able to get 3 consecutive hitters and get the Pirates out of a very tough top of the 8th inning. to score some runs, unable to do it more than one. Hey, don't forget the Cardinals weekend is coming up this weekend at Citizens Bank Park. Friday will be 1960s retro night. Saturday, fans feeding families night. We'll have more information on that leading up to Saturday night's ball game. And then Sunday, all men 15 and older will receive the Chevrolet 1960s Phillies cap. There's the cap right there. Order your tickets now by going to Phillies.com. Well, Ben Revere moves from right field to center field for the Phils. There he is. He's had a good day offensively. Jeff Francoeur, who had a pinch single, stays in the game to play right field. Phillies got a run, but then with nobody out and the bases loaded, could not get anything else. Genmar Gomez will take over here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Gomez will face Sean Rodriguez to begin the home 8th. Not much needs to be said about what just happened in the top of the 8th inning, but it's sort of a microcosm of what we have seen this entire year. The lack of a big hit on a consistent basis.
Just get that one big hit that'll just open it up for you. Give you some breathing room so you're not squeezing the sawdust out of the bat when you're at home plate.
Freddie Galvis grounded out to finish up that 8th. Maikel Franco hit a little slow roller to third with the bases loaded. One ball, 2 strikes to Rodriguez. Gong will be in the on deck circle. Melanson warming up. Been red hot as the closer. Second most saves in the National League. Ben, did you see the Gold Glove bullpen catcher out there? Outside, 2-2. Huh?
Caught me off guard there. Got a chest protector.
The Rawlings Gold Glove symbol. I think Russell Martin may have left that here for him.
I think he may.
Is he allowed to wear that if he didn't win a Gold Glove?
Absolutely.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Sean Rodriguez. Oh, caught by Genmar Gomez, smoked right back to the box, and he grabs it out of the air. And there's one away here in the 8th inning. Look at him pick it up at the video board.
Woo. Woo. I think it got in on him just a hair. Thank goodness.
It's right back at his head.
See, now that's a better position to catch the ball in than peeling off to the side. Peel off to the side as a right-hander. There's no way you can get your glove back across your body to protect your face. Can't.
Foul ball, and it's 0-1.
Sinker there.
Nelson's going to do a little cleaning up in front of the plate.
Not like Citi Field, though. Why do the Rappers always seem to whip around there more than anywhere else?
I don't know. third. Franco dives, gets to his feet, throws to first in time.
No hum.
Man, that arm is something special.
But what a luxury to have, knowing that you have that. Oh, you don't have to rush to get to your feet. You know, I mean, he's not panicking. He gets up, and it's Ryan Howard at the chest again.
That is a special arm over at third base.
People ask, what do you do to get a strong arm? Do you long toss? And honestly, either you're blessed with a good one or you're not. I mean, some people have a mediocre arm. Some people just have arms that can throw a ball through a wall. So that's it.
And when kids talk about long tossing to strengthen their arm, and some kids can do it, some cannot. Long tossing doesn't necessarily mean the same for every kid.
Yeah, long toss doesn't mean you automatically go from 85 to 90. It just means you're building up the muscles in your arm. Doesn't translate into velocity per se. Now, for some people, it may do that, but I think I just used to do it just to keep arm strength up. Like, some people can run fast. You can do as many plyometrics, whatever you want, but the bottom line is you could get a little bit faster, but you're not going to be a Ben Revere. You're not going to be a D. Gordon. You're just blessed with that.
0-2 pitch in the dirt, and Carlos will get a new baseball. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Choocher's been busy back there today, hasn't he?
He has.
He's been all over the place.
See the Mega Millions at $35 million. It goes off every Tuesday and Friday. Balls, 2 strikes, 2 men down. Swing and a miss. He got him. Genmar Gomez. I think he fooled Chris Stewart. I could be wrong.
Right on it.
Side is retired in order. 6 up, 6 down for the Phillies bullpen. Last chance for the Phillies, down by 1 as we go to the 9th inning. Defensive plays of the game, and there's been an assortment of them so far today. This is Cody Ashley with his first major league outfield assist, helped out a little bit by Polanco's slide. And then how about this one here, out towards center field, Chase Utley like a receiver, Ben Davis. And then Jedmar Gomez, if he wasn't awake before that pitch, he's awake now. Those are Hyundai defensive plays of the game, brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers.
You know, for a team that started off so poorly defensively, not poorly, but they made some inopportune plays that led to a couple Pirates runs.
Particularly in the first inning.
They really turned it around and made some very good defensive plays.
Well, here's Mark Melancon, the closer for the Pirates. He has 19 saves. That's second best in the National League. He has 17 consecutive saves. And he will begin the top of the ninth inning against Carlos Ruiz. It'll be Ruiz, then a pinch hitter. Looks like Darren Ruff. Phillies trail it by 1. Golden opportunity in the 8th inning to get more than 1 run. First pitch is in there, 0-1. Melancon is a symbol of perseverance in Major League Baseball. Yankees had him. The Astros had him. The Red Sox had him. It wasn't until he became Jason Gurley's setup man here in Pittsburgh that he really figured some things out. And now he's ahead 0-2 to Ruiz. And then when Gurley went down with an injury, he became the closer. And he has not looked back. I mean, 89 career saves.
Some guys, especially relievers, it just takes time.
0-2 pitch to Carlos. And he hits it out to shortstop on 1 hop.
Again, some guys develop late. Some guys find out their niche later in life. Mariano Rivera was John Wetland's setup guy.
And was a starter before that.
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes you get to a certain point in your career and it just clicks. And it has for Melancon.
Here's Darren Ruff to pinch hit. Broke his bat. Neil Walker at second base. He's up with it. 2 outs. Here's Ben Revere, the crowd on their feet. Now the capacity crowd here at PNC Park. Corners are up. Wide open gap on the left side, and the first pitch is low. 1 ball, no strikes.
Be afraid to get number 4 here, Ben.
Phillies need a base runner. Maybe get Frank Core to the plate with Revere on somewhere. 1 ball, no strikes. First pitch was better than the second one, but he called one a ball, the other a strike. So it's 1 ball and 1 strike now to Revere. Then seemed like he was taking a strike anyway.
And that's that pitch he developed, that cutter. Sometimes, I mean, that's 92, and you see the movement on it. It's pretty much fastball, big overhand curveball. He develops his cutter, really made him into a very good closer.
Phillies have lost 8 consecutive road games, 4 in a row on this current road trip, and they trail it 4-3.
think everybody's still here, too.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Revere. And he hits it out toward third. And it's just foul. Two balls, 2 strikes. Stays alive by tapping it foul. Three and 2. Fortunately, Jeff Nelson was not calling that with his heart. The rest of the fans here at PNC were doing that.
Ball.
Sure was. That guy thought it was a strike. And Revere fouls it back and will keep on going. Ben Day, a single in the first, a single in the third. Flied out to center in the 5th and doubled his last time up in the 8th. Three balls, 2 strikes to Revere. Grounds it foul.
Keep battling.
Melanson's got his signs. Ben is set. They're going to come inside with it. The 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He got him. The Phillies have lost 9 consecutive road games as they go down in order here in the 9th inning, and they lose it by a final score of 4-3 to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Nothing across for the Phils here in the top half of the 9th inning, and the frustrations on the road will continue for Philadelphia. Our Chevrolet player of the game, Starling Marte, 3 for 4 in RBI. He's had a good series. He's 6 for 11 in the series with a couple of RBIs. Clint Hurdle has win number 901. Well, our WB Mason deliveries of the game. These are sort of the anti-deliveries of the game from a Phillies standpoint at the top of the 8th inning. Bases loaded, nobody outs.
And Franco just rolls one over to Harrison. Pretty easy play, 5-2. This one goes 1-2. Watson with a very good play to get Chase Utley with the force play at home plate. And then Freddie Galvis hits a soft ground ball to second base, and Walker goes 4-3 to get out of that jam. And the Pirates hold on 4-3.
Yeah, Watson 3 hits, 1 walk in the inning, allowed just 1 run. Melanson closed it out. We'll be back to Pittsburgh to wrap it up right after this.